Welcome to the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education meeting. It's Monday, March 27th, 2023. Please turn your cell phones to silent and rise with me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody's been calling me because I've been sick. So
Mr. Seymour, if you'd like to call the roll.
Dr. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Birdie,
Present.
Ms. Bryant,
Present.
Mrs. Ken.
Present. Thank you. And moving on, our first agenda point is the district honors, recognitions, gifts, and introductions. Superintendent Smith.
Yes, Madam President and Board. Because my colleague is very humble and she does not like a lot of fanfare, she didn't tell us about this great award that she's receiving in Columbus. And so you don't have it on your agenda, but I think it's proper to recognize her appropriately. But before I bring her up, I'm going to bring up Ms. Fields, who was part of the nominating group for Dr. Martin. Ms. Fields.
Can everybody hear me or no? Is this on? I'm a teacher, so I can talk loud. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I am here on behalf of the Ohio Alliance for Black School Educators, but I'm here representing the Cincinnati chapter. What we do every year is we have an award ceremony where we recognize outstanding administrators and principals. This year, the Cincinnati area will be honoring Dr. Adrian Martin for her hard work and dedication. Talking to Mr. Smith briefly, he said, I just want you to kind of go over, some of the criteria. Two things stood out for me. Somebody who does what's best for kids at all times. That's what we're looking for. But for me, on a personal note, it's somebody who is lifting as she continues to climb. That's a big model for me. And I'm just 2 years in this district, and when I got here, she embraced me. It was almost like I felt like I was here for years. And it was just right quick, just got here, got into some little, scuffles that I needed to get some professional opinions on and get, some help with. And she was there for me 100% of the way. So for me, when it was time to do this nomination, she was the first person that came to mind. And with the head nod from Mr. Smith, we went ahead and nominated her. And before us, we have Dr. Adrian Martin, who is the 2023 OSB honoree.
Very good. Oh, yeah, come on. I'm not going to ask you where Mr. Martin is, but he better be out in the van filming this somewhere.
I'm not sure where he is.
Okay, all right. We'll locate him.
Yes. Well, I'm definitely honored and excited to receive such a high honor to represent the Midwest region of amazing educators, and we'll be amongst a whole lot of amazing educators from the state of Ohio. I am honored that, sometime when you leave the building, you don't know how far your reach is as it relates to leadership and support. And when it's all said and done, leading from within is what I love to do. And to know that it impacted and empowered is greatly appreciated. So I look forward to going to Columbus and representing Winton Woods and the Cincinnati area.
Very good. Bravo, Doctor.
Thank you.
Now, we would have had this thing with Ms. Fields and Dr. Martin several months ago, but she kept receiving the nomination information that she was a winner and kept shredding it and didn't recognize that it was about her.
I totally did.
Yes.
Wow, they've been trying to find me for a month.
Right. And Dr. Martin, it is a privilege to work with you every day. I think your belief about what children can do and become is absolutely awesome. And I know that the work that you've done with Mr. Holman, where he's risen to the occasion to be the next principal in that 3-4 building, has been awesome because you have worked with him very, very well. So thank you for everything that you do, and we totally appreciate you. All right.
Superintendent Smith, I did want to ask Mr. Smith to present, or to be our designated presenter tonight, if that's okay.
Well, he's got to read.
He goes out, yeah. Yes.
He's honored.
And then there's another one, too.
Let me see, is this Tramiel? Yeah, take that one. Tramiel may not be here. Jaden Johnson.
I seen you coming in, yes.
Where's Jaden's teacher?
She could not be here tonight.
Okay, all right. She's told me all about you. All right, turn around this way so everybody can see how handsome you are. Turn around,
Look at the
sir.
camera that way. There we go. Yes.
There you go.
I walked in with him.
So here's a little
So we
bit
have a
about Jaden.
connection.
Jaden Johnson has shown tremendous growth throughout the school year. Being resourceful has been a huge part of his current success. Jaden can often be seen using the tools he has learned as a first-time student to help guide him through challenging moments. Through using the tools he has accumulated, he has been able to succeed not only academically, but behaviorally as well. Jaden Johnson, lovingly known as Bubba. Bubby? Bubby.
Bubby.
All right. Has been a great addition to the Warrior family. So can everybody say, "We love you, Bubby"?
We love you, Bobby.
All right. All right, students are selected for the Kiwanis Characters Key Resourcefulness Award based on the following description. Resourcefulness means pursuing and thinking beyond the barriers, recognizing new possibilities, seeking challenging, innovative, creative approaches, searching for new solutions to increase performance. And that's our man right here. So another round of applause. Where's Miss Jordan?
Yeah, she's right here.
There was an award for him. Underneath. Jaden Johnson, resourcefulness. There you go, Mr. Smith.
Congratulations, sir.
You gotta get a picture.
Oh, get a picture. You gotta get your picture?
He's excited to go sit down.
Here, look this way.
And who all came with
Yeah,
Jaden?
come
Who
on,
all came with
parents.
Jaden
I already
tonight?
told you. I warned you
Come on
as
here.
you're
Come
coming
on
in.
up.
Smile, smile.
Let me give her the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Remind them of the gift certificate on the back of them.
And so, Mom, watch the certificate carefully. There's a La Rosa's gift card on the back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All
Where's
right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Our next recipient is Tramiel Cole. Is Tramiel? Oh, Tramiel. All right. So this came from, not only is he our plant operator, but he's our wrestling coach. So we serve as dual roles here. You know, I'm also the varsity football coach, but I don't really talk about that much. Tramel's a great athlete. He started wrestling in the 7th grade and took 3rd at leagues. He came out his 8th grade year, was on fire with 7-0. Wow. Until suffering a season-ending injury, but you'll heal. He was also part of the championship football team. He is very coachable, teachable, and likable young man. He has a very bright future ahead of him. I look forward to seeing his future success. Now, in order to be nominated for the Skyline Student Athlete of the Month, you have to maintain a 3.0, show respect for coaches, teammates, officials, teachers, and other students and family, show enthusiasm and positive attitude, display commitment to practice, games, and personal skill development, demonstrate honesty in playing by the rules, have high moral character, and they've added a new one. Be able to put a board member in a headlock. Let's see what you can do. Not interested? All right, I think you can take this guy. All right, the Skyline Student Athlete of the Month Award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline Chili Restaurant, a business partner of Winton City Schools. Student athletes who are honored receive a Skyline gift card. And Jaden, who else did you come with? Who came with you tonight? My brother. Big brother, come on.
All right, come on.
In case it went bad, Mr. Smith, there are two of them, all right?
Yes, double trouble.
All right. So we can't have great students without great teachers.
That's right.
You have to have the great teachers all the time. So great teacher, where's my great teacher? Come on.
I don't know.
They want to see you. Yeah. Ms. Geisler is a great choice for the Skyline Teacher of the Month. She is great at building relationships with her students. Her lessons are well differentiated and engaging, so students are excited about what they are learning. The class is well versed in the 3 traits of the PBIS plan: trust, respect, and responsibility. Ms. Geisler is a valued and respected member of the 3rd grade team, and she is very much appreciated. Mr. Holman, come on up, please. To be nominated, there are some magical, incredible traits that you must have. 6 traits: excellence in the classroom, motivation, leadership, creativity, dedication, and communication. The Skyline Teacher of the Month Award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline Chili Restaurant, a business partner of Winton City Schools. Teachers who are honored receive a Skyline gift card. Thank you very much.
Do you have the award?
Oh, yeah, I always have the award. Yeah, there we go. No, that's not you.
Oh, that one up
Oh, she
there.
knew where her award was. That's
Thank you guys for coming.
yeah.
That's right, come on.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Holman, this is one of your incredible teachers. You want to add anything?
Other than what you read, that's what I wrote, so.
Okay,
He's good.
man, a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. All right, we'll call you back up if we need you, sir. All right. I believe
Is,
that may be,
no me, it's not here. No ma, go ma.
no, we actually have several, people that are not going to be able to attend tonight, but I would like to bring up the middle school girls basketball coach, Style of Steel. Wintonwood's, congratulations to the Wintonwood's middle school girls basketball team and Coach Style of Steel. Is this your first year coaching a middle school?
Yeah, actually got thrown in the fire.
Well, I can see right here, based on this information, you will be doing this for the next 15 years. So, congratulations, Coach. But they won the Eastern Cincinnati Conference Championship title and they held a record of 15-2. Awesome work.
Good job.
They're proud. So did any of the students come with you tonight?
They did not. Some of them had track practice, some of them had basketball practice.
So you're keeping them engaged in other things? Thank you, Coach. It's a blessing to have you on the team, and I
Yes.
totally appreciate your leadership. The other thing that Style does is she's the restorative practice person. And she goes back and works with kids who
Great.
have some energy just left out there, and she brings it back in to make sure they're wholesome and they can work with their team, and appreciate it very much. All right. Were you a star at any point in time? Did you play?
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
I played at Roger Bacon High School, and I also played at West Virginia University, and I played at Kentucky State University.
All right, can you say that last one again?
No, West Virginia. I thought you were saying West Virginia. That's right, I'm in West Virginia.
From the Kentucky State.
There you go. Just checking. All right.
That's okay.
All right, let's get some pictures. Who did you bring with you tonight?
I came by myself. I actually came by myself.
All right, okay. Mr.
But she
Smith?
got her beginnings at West Virginia.
We all began at West
Yeah,
Virginia.
I started in West Virginia, born and raised.
All right, way to go. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we have actual awards for all of your players.
We got your award.
And we have awards for all of your players. So can you make sure they get receive the awards?
Yes.
I know they're gonna always be engaged in other activities, so trying to do it next month won't change because they're very committed to other things. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, very good. We are going to wait for the Community Spirit Award. It's actually our officer, who is our SRO. And I think that Veda Harris is an incredible officer. He understands kids. He talks to them regularly. He gets a lot of information from them about what happens on the inside and outside. And he's now going into some other in-depth training just to make sure that we are always safe and always protected the right way. So we will bring him back on in April and make sure that he receives this award. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Smith. With that, there'll be a 5-minute recess, and then we'll resume back to our business at hand. Thank you.
As levies, and I was just looking at the
Okay,
first few.
we're calling back to session the Winton Woods School
Pretty
Board
good.
meeting.
It's pretty good, some different strategies.
We
to
have
it.
no public comments tonight, so we'll be moving on to comments from our Winton Woods Teachers Association. I'm not sure if we have a representative here tonight. No, but we do appreciate the Teachers Association. And then from OPSE, the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, we have a representative.
Good evening, Madam Board President, Superintendent Smith, board members, community members, and staff. OC would just like to say thank you for having us here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your attendance.
Appreciate the candy that we don't
You're
get anymore.
okay. You're all right. Don't. You're
Okay,
okay.
all right, I'm just checking because it's Easter.
It's funny.
We'll move on to 6.01, which is approval of the minutes. Well, actually, yes, we're on that, sorry. And so, board, if you have any, need a motion for our minutes?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Dr. Kim? Mrs. Kim, sorry.
I got promoted. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to Treasurer's Report, the financial statements for February 2023. Mr. Seymour?
Sure, you have about 5 pages for the report for the month on the bank reconciliation. Shows you the reconciliation for the month of February. We had general fund revenues for a year-to-date of $41.1 million. Our month-to-date revenues were $8.1 million, most of that which was real estate tax advances. Our year-to-date expenditures in the general fund are showing at $34.6 million. And currently, we're running approximately 4% under budget for about $2.6 million. The last page shows you all the fund balances unencumbered for all funds as of February 28th at $23.5 million. And that's basically a summary of the financial report before you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Without any,
I do have a question.
Sure.
Mr. Seymour, can you, I'm sorry, I heard it, but I didn't hear it. The amount of money we're running in deficit? You mentioned a negative somewhere. Did I hear that?
Money we're running in deficit,
Yeah.
I shared the balance of all funds.
It was the balance of funds, but.
Might have been the under budget number.
The under budget
4%.
number, yes, I'm sorry.
The amount we're under budget.
so that's good.
Oh, the
Not
amount we're
over.
under budget
Yes.
right
I
now? Okay, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I said it backwards.
About 2.7 million.
Okay, thank you.
Under budget.
Under
But
budget.
we're
Under budget.
pretty much in line with our 5-year forecast.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Any
Thank you
other-
for that clarification. I didn't mean to scare anybody.
You thought I said deficit, huh?
Yeah, in my head, I'm like trying to look and listen. I'm not doing a good job today.
Okay. Any other statements? Okay, with that, any other objections heard? Let the financial statement for the month of February 2023 be submitted for audit. Moving on to the treasurer's recommendations, 8.01, the investments. Mr. Seymour?
Yes, for the month of February, we had approximately $36 million invested at the close of February. Interest earned for the month was $113,000. Of that, general fund was $95,000, and our building funds earned $18,000 for the month of February. Our interest rate now is climbing a little bit, and at Star Ohio, we were paid 4.92%.
Okay. Board, a motion would be in order?
I'll make a motion to approve the investment report as presented.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any comments, questions, comment, or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Coon?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. On to amended appropriations, 8.02.
Yes, I'm asking to amend the appropriations for our special trust account, which is 007. The main reason to amend it is we have additional revenues and we have additional need to increase the appropriation due to our AGS trips. Back in August, when we were developing the budget for all funds and appropriations, we didn't really have a clear handle on what would be collected and what would be spent. So I'm asking to increase the appropriations for the special trust to $125,000 from $63,000. The main purpose of that is AGS has collected approximately $60,000 for the trips, and our spirit store is doing better than we anticipated, and these things are all run through 007 Special Trust, which means they're really not district funds, but they're funds that the Treasurer's Office administers for special groups. We also have scholarships there, and we also have special donations there that are for a particular purpose. So they don't get really mixed up in the general fund or permanent improvement or anything for the day. They're usually for a specific purpose, such as the AGS trips.
Okay. Board, there would be a motion in order.
I'll make a motion to approve amending the fiscal year 2023 appropriations for Special Trust Fund 007 from $63,000 to $125,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any other questions?
Yes. Could you explain that to me again?
Yeah, well, we have collected more than we thought back in August. So we have collected additional funds for the Academy of Global Studies trips. And then based on what I thought we would collect for special trust or special purposes, we have collected a lot more than anticipated back in August.
Okay.
So in order to spend the revenues that I've received, I have to ask the board's permission to increase that appropriation
Gotcha.
to cover the receipts that we've received.
Okay.
And then I also filed that with the Hamilton County Auditor's Office.
Okay.
That's why I said an amended certificate will be filed with the Hamilton County Auditor's Office.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense now?
Yeah, I think I got
Okay.
it. I was just not understanding. I thought we were trying to move money around. No, it's just
No.
we're trying to be able to spend more.
We're increasing you're giving me permission to spend more money that I have collected.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. I love it. Yeah, I'm good.
Good. So at the beginning of the year, we only anticipated perhaps 63,000?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But I didn't have the Academy of Global Studies anticipated trips at the time. And we haven't really had those for this, Mr. Smith, is this not the first year for?
Yeah, when COVID
Yeah.
came, we had to let it go for a while.
Right.
In order to keep for the safety of the children. Otherwise, we would have been able to get the transportation, get there, and turn back around.
Right.
Waste the trip.
Absolutely.
Good.
Thank you, Mrs. Seymour. Sorry about that.
That's okay, that's no problem.
Thank you.
It's really money that's entrusted to me to handle for a specific purpose.
Okay.
And it doesn't come out of the general fund or?
Not receipted or expended from general operations.
I think the other good part about what Mr. Seymour was able to do to maximize the funds was because of COVID, transportation has increased twofold. Bus transportation, everything. So having money on reserve. If you look at some of our information on the website, it talks about travel for students in the Academy of Global Studies. You can have that website talk about travel and then you say you can't do it. All right, it just kind of limits the opportunity for young people. Some parents are encouraged about this Academy of Global Study because of the travel and the experiences. So that's one of our flagships.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mrs. Smith.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to reports of the superintendent, school reports.
Yes, Madam President and Board. So everybody realizes all across the country there is a shortage of teachers. And so we've decided to take the matter into our own hands and not wait for someone to come and save us. Ms. Wilson's working with a team to devise a great plan called Growing Our Own. And we're going to grow our own teachers from within our own system. People who are already committed to PBL and the experiences that young people need to be engaged in. So Ms. Wilson can give an overview also with Dr. Reynolds.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. We are very excited about what is really a problem turned into an opportunity. We've invited Dr. Dorothy Reynolds, who is currently a literacy coach for us and also an adjunct professor at Central State University. She is actually the person that brought a wonderful opportunity to Dr. Martin, who then passed it on to me. I talked to Mr. Smith, and he said, please pursue it aggressively. And then also Shonda Ferguson Gordon, come on up, please. We all have a piece in this presentation. Ms. Gordon has been working tirelessly for, I'd say, a couple years now, on promoting continued education for classified staff through her efforts with OPSI. And so she'll talk a little bit about that as well. And she's actually taking her own medicine, and she's in a degree program right now with Eastern Gateway, and I think she's at 4.0, but that's beside the point.
You, yes, good for
So
you.
she's modeling the expectation. So with that, I'll just briefly talk about the national teacher shortage. As you know, it is national and a state problem for all kinds of reasons. Rising cost of tuition compared to the relatively low cost wages for educators. We have underfunded schools, unfunded mandates. I think people are increasingly recognizing the value of bilingual and multicultural staff for our students. And then there are safety risks associated with school violence. All of these things are just leading to this flurry of activity around trying to find excellent educators for our students. And what we have found is that some of our best educators, some of the people that have the best relationships with kids, that have been here, grown up in the community, have community contacts and roots, Some of them are our parapros, our clerical team, even our security monitors, who some have degrees, some have a little bit of education, some have no post-high school education, but have been in the system so long that they could easily sub for a teacher if they had a license. So we recently met with our classified staff. We started with parapros and we invited some of the other classified staff that was available. It was on a PD day where we had the extra time to work with them and we talked to them about the pathways to teacher licensure. And currently in Ohio, there are two pathways. One is alternative licensure and the other one is a traditional college program. Alternative licensure is wonderful because you can get it quickly if you already have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree and at least a 2.5 GPA with a bachelor or a 3.0 in a master's program. The limitation of an alternative license is you're limited to what your undergraduate degree or master's is in. So for example, I'll use Dr. Reynolds as an example. She has a computer science bachelor's degree. And had she stopped at just alternative licensure, the only thing she could have taught with an undergraduate, with an alternative license is computer science. But she went through a traditional college and university program after getting her bachelor's and was able to now teach elementary education. And then the traditional program is a little bit longer. It's a longer process, more involved, but it gives you broader teaching opportunities. So when we met with our parapros and our classified staff, we talked about just what's involved for alternative licensure. And I won't go through all of it, but they've received this presentation, and these are actual links to how to request an evaluation for it, for the alternative license, and the steps for doing so, and also the available alternative licenses through ODE. But once, in order to get an alternative license, you have to have a job offer. So Styla Stell, the person that was up here, she's an example of, she is a wonderful educator. And when I say wonderful, kids love her, principals love her. She is just, she'll do anything you ask her to do, and she'll do it with excellence. She does not have a PE license. So she was someone we tapped. We said, you're a basketball player. You are obviously great rapport with kids. Will you please pursue an alternative license? And she is in the process of doing that. And so we were able to hire her as our PE teacher as well. She was one of the people we approved a few months ago. And so without that offer, though, you can't just go get an alternative license. You have to have an offer, and then you go get it. And then once you get it, you have to go to an institute. And that what we're finding is the institute is cost prohibitive for a lot of our classified staff that are hourly employees. The institute itself ranges from $950 to $3,000. Well, there's a link. Well, there are different institutes, but it's all the way up to $3,000. So what we did is we talked to our federal grants person, Doug Sinker, and said, is there any way we could use federal funding, not general fund, to help us support teachers of promise, people that we know are excellent educators that need that extra financial support to pursue this institute. And so he looked in the regs and said that it is possible, and so we are in the process of drafting some bylaws and procedures. And one of the things that Mr. Smith said, that they have to have positive evaluations. They can't, and we talked about this with the classified staff. We said, if you don't have a good evaluation, don't even ask. Like, no need to apply. And then we are going to look to our administrators and Department of Teaching and Learning to identify budding teachers. And then we're also asking for a commitment. So if we are investing in this program, we're asking for a commitment of up to 5 years of service upon full licensure. Once the candidate for alternative licensure completes the institute, they have to take a very comprehensive exam. It's usually it's 3 courses. It's the same exam that someone that went through a whole teaching program has to take. So it's not easy, and it's expensive. So what we have done is we have found a wonderful test prep, and if you'll click on that, the link, the 240, it's called 240. The name is sort of odd, but it is a wonderful program where it uses artificial intelligence and some algorithm where you take a pre-assessment. It identifies your strengths and weaknesses as it relates to each individual exam, and it will then give you a content-filled course of study. So it's like tutoring with practice tests and flashcards. And then the candidate, if they follow the modules, they aren't able to unlock the practice test until they have completed 90% of the modules. And then once they do, they take the practice test. If you pass the practice test, then you know you're ready for the Ohio Assessment for Educators. The wonderful thing about this is we purchased 1,000 tokens with grant money, federal grant money, and we can give out a token to an educator for a whole month for $10.
Wow.
So I don't even think we'll use all of that, but in theory, if we have a ton of people that want to do it. This is also great for every now and then we'll hire a student right out of college who we expect to pass their OEA, and for whatever reason, they fall short a little bit of the exam. You know, maybe they have test anxiety, or, you know, all of the excitement of graduation and starting a new job. They sometimes fall a little short. This is a great way for us to say, here, take these tokens, go study for the exam that you need a little more work on, and then we can hopefully have them licensed sooner rather than later, instead of having to do the creative sub-license, long-term subbing and things like that that you do.
Yeah, Ms. Wilson, when I heard your presentation for the classified group, they were excited, but they did have some apprehension about the test. And one of the things that I did is I went around to members of the executive team who've all passed many tests, and just asked them, just based on their knowledge and based on their support and based on their commitment, would they be willing to help prepare someone for this exam? And all of them said yes. So I'm happy about the commitment from the team to talk about future educators in our community, because as we mentioned before, there's no one coming to give us this work. This is work that we have to build within. Our people already like project-based learning. They already love the kids. They might as well take the next step.
That's wonderful. Then this is the program. So Dr. Reynolds, who is an adjunct professor at Central State, again, she contacted Dr. Martin, who then passed her on to me and explained that Central State is very interested in partnering with us to help teachers that are interested in the traditional teacher licensure program to obtain their license. And with that, I will let you jump in as you feel comfortable.
So thank you, board members, Mr. Smith and Dr. Martin, Ms. Wilson, for this opportunity. It's kind of strange. I was sitting in a staff meeting at CSU, and all of a sudden, Winton Woods just popped up in my head when I found out that there are students that are currently paraprofessionals, and they're providing them with opportunities to become certified. So after talking to Dr. Martin, and it just, like, I'm amazed that I'm here already. It happened really fast. So today, we actually met with the Central State, my department chair in the College of Education, and found out that there are 2 pathways that the students will be able to take. So one of them is going to get a pre-K to 5 teaching license and/or an intervention specialist license. And according to Ms. Wilson, those are areas that we are really in need of as well. So it was really exciting that we're going to be able to provide those type of opportunities for students. So Central State also, we figured out there will be 2 cohorts.
one of the cohorts would be those teachers or paraprofessionals who have non-teaching bachelor's or a master's degree, but is outside of their education degree. And so if their area is outside of it, like me, doing computer science, they have a track for them where they can give them their degree or help them meet the requirements for that area of their degree to get a teaching certification. Then, if they do not qualify for an alternative license, they also have a track for that. That's the first cohort. Now, cohort number 2 will be those individuals who have an associate's degree already. And so it's kind of hard, I know, I went through the track to try to make all those ends meet. So I'm so excited that we're offering this for our staff or for the paraprofessionals here. The other exciting thing is right now I'm doing online blending learning classes, and I know what the students endure. So what they have set up for us is that they're going to do a blending online version here. Students could work with the evening or weekend classes here at Winton Woods. And so the paraprofessionals would be candidates in their own cohort. To have that group to work with, to collaborate with, to bounce ideas off of is huge, and making sure that they finish and have that support along the way. We're also going to, Central State will expedite their admission process to make it easier so they don't have to go up to campus. We will bring down a team of people here, and they will kind of really expedite it so fast that it's like a 3-day turnaround admission process, which takes a lot of the obstacles out of the way, makes it so much more easier. And we have a projected start date of August this fall. So that's really exciting. Hit next slide. Okay, go next slide, please. And so again, as Ms. Wilson stated, there's money, tuition, reimbursement. Those are obstacles that we're trying to remove from students so that they don't have that worry. And so there's going to be a memorandum of understanding, and Central State is working in that area as well to try to just minimize that for the teachers. They will have to, of course, obtain keep a certain grade point average to receive these funds, but that pathway is set up for them.
And I'll just jump in here. So this is still in the works, and like she said, we're working on an MOU, but Mr. Sinker has looked at our grant funding and said that this is also an appropriate way to use some of our federal funds to support promoting the educator. What was I going to say? Oh, but what we found with our classified staff is we currently have tuition reimbursement available through negotiations with our union. But sometimes reimbursement, people, like they have families, they're hourly employees, they've told us, I can't really front that money, or I don't qualify for a loan, I have kids myself in college, or my debt to income ratio, I can't get a loan. So it's nearly impossible for some of our hourly employees to front that money and wait to be reimbursed. So we're trying to see if we can work out an MOU where we can kind of flip that model if we identify the people. So again, if we haven't asked you to do it.
So the one thing that I think you mentioned, and I just want to clarify so we can say it as many times, to Waycross and the rest of the world, and millions of people that are watching us right now. One of the things I want to make sure that we attack, we are talking about in the MOU a commitment of several years after we've helped the individual earn that degree, correct?
Correct.
There is a commitment.
There will be a commitment.
Okay.
And it's not, I want to do it. It is, someone says, you are a teacher of promise. And there are we have several people that, they are some of our best educators. So we're working out the specifics of that, and we have several meetings planned to iron that out.
Very good.
Okay, and so thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Did you have any questions for Dr. Reynolds at this point?
Okay.
And then OC, as I mentioned, through the hard work of President Shonda Gordon, has been working to promote a program that they offer, which also supports our initiative. So, Shonda.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. And again, Dr. Reynolds, it was a pleasure to meet you. I just wanted to address the few things that OC has to offer. Once you join OC, which is Ohio Association for Public School Employees, we are the classified workers of the district. We offer anyone in your family, your children, grandchildren, parents, siblings, including stepchildren, step-in-laws, spouses, domestic partners, financial dependents, families who do not live with you, nor is there an age limit. Any family member can use your benefits to attend school. You can earn an associate's degree 100% debt-free. OC will pay that once you become a member. It is zero out-of-pocket cost to OC members and their families. Again, you can earn an associate's degree online with no out-of-pocket cost. It's through the last dollar scholarships that covers the difference between federal grants and the tuition. It covers the books, your fees, your e-books, and it's all done through Eastern Gateway College. You must attend Eastern Gateway Community College for 2 years and earn 60 credit hours, and you must maintain a 2.2 grade point average. Again, if you don't qualify for FAFSA and any other grants like myself, because of your income, then the union covers 100%. It is free. So I encourage all of our members to take advantage of your union benefits. I mean, what do you have to lose?
Absolutely.
I am, like Courtney said, I am a prodigy of my own words. I am in school. I have 6 classes left, and my GPA is 4.0.
You know what I appreciate? OPSI and ASME stepped up because people keep talking about this teacher shortage piece, but someone had to step up and also front load the money so that people can afford to do it.
Correct.
Because if you're worried about the financial part and the class part, it can stress you out because you're actually still working.
Correct.
So OPSI, I applaud their effort, I applaud their work, I applaud their commitment, and not just sit back and talk about the shortage of teachers. We've been talking about that for a long time. Now they're actually doing something about it. So.
Correct. And we do have a teacher's degree that you can earn, your associates. We also have 35 other degrees that you can earn through OC. And you can go online to egcc.edu and find out all of the programs that that Eastern Gateway Community College does offer. After your 2 years with OC at Eastern Gateway Community College, you can also attend 2 more years. Now, there was a situation where it was free. A lot of the universities for your bachelor's degree is now saying, okay, you earned your associates, now it's time for you to start paying a fee. That has not been negotiated, it's just in talks. So I encourage anyone right now, if you're in the process, jump in where you fit in and get it before they set in. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So the other 2 schools that you can attend.
Can you say that one again, please?
Jump in where you fit in and get in. I'm in there, I'm telling you, I'm not stopping. The other 2 schools is William Woods University and Paul Quinn University. And again, we were with Central State University, but they are one of the programs that is saying, hey, okay, we did this for a while, now we need some funds, so we're gonna switch to, you still can attend our university at a discounted rate if you want to attend Central State, which is still not bad.
Actually.
So I just wanted to say, OC is there for our people, and I encourage you to join and use your benefits. And thank you for your time.
One point I would like to point out that, I mean, I read this, and this is just amazing. Family members do not need to be financial dependent or living with the member to be eligible.
Correct.
That's major.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that I've probably never seen in any other tuition reimbursement type program.
Doctor, you know the reason we've never seen that is because that shortage is real.
Yes.
They had to go
That's what that
well
says,
beyond
right.
the scope of what they were talking about to make it realistic. So, there you go.
Well,
I
thank
think
you for
that's
pointing that out,
fantastic.
Dr. Johnson, and I'm sorry I didn't have slides, but I did give you all
Yes, thank you
printouts,
for
so
that.
you can take a look
I
at
think
it.
the little
and
quote
pass
at the end was better
information
than
on.
the slide to me.
Yes, it was.
Thank you again.
I have a
Thank you
question.
for
So
allowing me to
is there a limit on the number of family members that can?
There is no limit. As long as you are a member of OC, we accept you and your students.
Okay.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
So I encourage you, get in where you fit
That
in,
is powerful.
jump in, I'm telling you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna find somebody with the last name Smith.
So, final, well, close to final. The other thing that we are actively pursuing, we've been doing this for a while, is we are requiring those people, so we've hired a lot of young people. Some of them like nearly fresh out of high school, truthfully, that have a high school diploma and very little experience and haven't quite made that move to go to college or pursue an associate's degree. So what we are requiring them to do is to pursue ESEA endorsement on their educational aid permit. And the way, but we are not just saying go do it, we're offering support by having master teacher. We've purchased master teacher. We've had this in the district for a while. But what they have to do is take modules, and then there's a parapro assessment where it will then count towards you having an extra endorsement on your educational aid permit, which tells our constituents that we're not just throwing anyone in front of children.
Right.
We do have standards. So again, just to reiterate, there are many opportunities for growth at Winton Woods City Schools, and here they are again. We have tuition reimbursement programs, prepaid tuition for candidates of promise, cohorts to promote collaboration and support, online tutoring and test prep resources, and then on-site blended learning opportunities taught by experts in the field like Dr. Reynolds. So, yeah,
Is there a next meeting scheduled?
Well, we had one today, and then we said we would meet again in May, and then we're following up with our parapros in April
That's what I want to
to
know.
update them on the outcome of the meeting with Central State today.
Okay.
We've already had one meeting with Central State.
Very good.
This was our second meeting.
I do have a question on the amount of money that comes from the grants. Is there a certain amount that we would cap out at? Or, I mean, sure, I wish we had unlimited funds all the time, but is there a certain amount that we'd have to restrict the number of people that would apply for that reimbursement, or not necessarily reimbursement, covers the cost?
So, yes, there's definitely a budget, and so we have a tuition reimbursement budget that's already negotiated in our collective bargaining agreement with OC. So we have money set aside for that, and then our federal dollars aren't unlimited, so there would be a line item, and Mr. Sanford would work with us and say, this is what the budget is, and then we could potentially identify candidates of promise, and, award, to ask them and get a commitment from them, and if they follow through, spend.
Yeah, the feel-good story with all this is you have teachers who are already certified to do their jobs, and they're making the recommendation about what they see as promise to other professionals. I think that's what's huge. It gives you a different confidence booster when someone who's in the field says, I think you could be a great teacher, come join the ranks and let me help you get there.
Yes.
That's huge.
No.
And another thing I neglected to share is, this would not be in lieu of candidates pursuing FAFSA, federal financial aid available.
So in addition to,
So we would still ask them to complete, and that's something we talked about today with Central State, we would still ask them to complete the FAFSA, so any, money that was available elsewhere would, that would just free up additional money for people that actually need it here.
And this just, and there's like, if you get the money from the grants, you wouldn't turn it in later and get the reimbursement for the, reimbursement for your tuition. I'm just making sure that nobody wants to double dip or kind of put just in case, just to have that tracked along there. The other thing, I think this is a great opportunity. I think it's a great way to advertise to keep our employees, because I know one thing that was one of the concerns that we lose employees, but I think being able to advertise and to point out our benefits that Winton Woods does afford, and the commitment and the investment into our, all of our staff that we put, and we want to keep them hired and keep them as active employees and keep them long-term. I think this is a really great, is this part of our information when we're looking for bus drivers, or part of, is it part of our information to share when we're promoting?
So some of the Central State piece is new, and the Eastern Gateway opportunity through OPSI is not new.
Right.
The 240 is new, but Master Teacher isn't. So there are aspects, so this is just something that Mr. Smith has said, keep your foot on the gas, keep going, continue to look for ways to address this issue.
I think what Ms. Kuhn is asking, Ms. Wilson, is when we're out looking for drivers or whatever, we could say, hey, you could start out being a driver, but you can step into something totally different down the road, and which makes it really an advantage for our kids in our system.
Right, and it
So-
keeps people, because we talked about, they get $17 an hour at Target, but you don't get reimbursement for everyone in your entire family.
And you don't get a degree.
And you don't get a degree, and you probably don't have as good of hours as working at public schools, and you probably work weekends. But anyways, I'm just trying to point out the many, people have to weigh, the pros and cons of whatever they look at, and we need to stack our pros and the advantages and weigh them heavily so that we make people not want to leave.
Very
And
good.
they look at all the aspects of it.
Good job. Thank you.
One last point I want to make is just that I commend and applaud what you guys are doing, because the biggest obstacle that I hear from people as I advise, and I say, you need to go back to school, I see it in you, resources.
Yeah.
If they have the time, they don't have the money. If they have the money, then they would go, and they know that that could change their station in life, but they just, like you say, they just can't skeek it out at whatever it is, $230, $400 a credit hour, whatever they are at the colleges and universities. So this is really huge.
But Doc, I think the other part that makes it so exciting, the first group of people that go through it is going to be such a big celebration that
absolutely.
it will encourage other people.
Absolutely.
It will be a huge celebration, says, you can do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you guys for presenting this. I mean, I believe in free education. I always say that my master's degree was paid, so I'm like, if it's free, it's for me. But to this point, this is capturing those people that we know are out there who love children and want to
Absolutely.
be teachers, and we can grow our own. And I hate to say this, I'm super excited they get to have a degree from an HBCU. I think that's phenomenal partnership. I think that's something that we need to celebrate as well, because other districts have not been able to do that. So thank you, guys. This is awesome.
And I can say that I'm a product of that as well. I started out as a secretary and just continued to work. I was at Taft High School a long time ago as a secretary, and so I can see when I work with my students now, I get chills just knowing that, hey, I did it, you can do it. And
Absolutely.
so I see a lot of teachers here. I've been in a lot of different roles where I've had the opportunity of working with teachers or future teachers, and I can see this program as just being God sent.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you see this starting in the fall, or when is your timeline? I know you said it's new, so
2023.
August.
We're
August?
shooting
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
We're still in the stages, the
That's-
embryonic stages,
Yeah, that's what,
planning,
yeah.
but that's a real viable start date.
So once this is finalized and we have our MOU and everything, can we get a press release? Because I think this is newsworthy.
Drew is already writing it.
Okay, I was gonna say, we need to top
She's
this.
already started writing. Press release is all ready to go.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you
very
so
good.
much. Thank you.
Very good.
I know her. I'm like, I looked at her, I'm like, I remember her from Cincinnati Public. Full circle. Yes, yes.
The next school opportunity, last month, we talked about, I think you guys voted on the diabetic policy. Well, Ms. Bray is going to give you another overview. I know it's been reviewed by President Kuhn and myself, but the overview is just to let you know what our children are facing, what they're dealing with. The other part, we talk about all of the amenities that we have, all the sports opportunities. That keeps the kids out of stage 2. And we have to keep pushing it and keep moving it in that direction, because parents need to understand we're helping your children become better leaders just by having that healthy aspect that we talk about. All right? So, Ms. Bray?
Yes. Good evening. So I'm extremely excited because our district is now in partnership with Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center. All those acronyms. So I have been meeting with a group of doctors so that they can support our students who currently have diabetes in our district. So just to list a few of some of the things that what we have been discussing. So first of all, we talk about that schools play a crucial role in diabetes care delivery. It's a whole lot that goes into the care of a student who has been diagnosed with diabetes. So as you know, during a school day, it says 7 hours, but our kids are here longer. They're here about 7.5 hours. That's a long time to be in school. So just to list a few, so the nurses have to check blood glucose. They have to count carbs, calculate insulin doses, dispense insulin, manage high or low glucose levels, and also check ketones. That's a lot. And so when the nurses have other medical concerns and issues going on in the school buildings, just dealing with this for one student, it's a lot. It's a lot for one of our school nurses. So to be partnered with doctors from our local, well-renowned children's hospital, it's godsend, honestly. Next slide. So the school partnership. So we identify, coordinate, and meet. So under identify, we identify the schools with patients that where students have diabetes. Then we collaborate with the school having the highest number of diabetes as patients. So Winton Woods is in the top 5 in Hamilton County with the most type 1 diabetes. Winton Woods.
I didn't know that.
So coordinate.
That's not a good statistic.
We communicate intent with the school, what Children's Hospital intends to do to help, and to get our nurses on board to assist in that process. We coordinate an initial meeting timeline and personnel. So over the summer, I've already met with them a couple of times, along with our school nurses, and our nurses are excited because it does take up a lot of their school day to check glucose levels, blood levels, and things like that. Use quality improvement methodology to standardize the processes and structure, and then meet. So we want to meet the right people at the right time, at the right place. We need teams to help coordinate this effort. So why Winton Woods? So I have learned a lot in this process. I am not medically trained, but since the nurses are under my leadership, they teach me a lot. Working with the doctors at Cincinnati Children's Medical Center, they have taught me a lot. So as of August, we have 8 students that have been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That's what the T1D is. So we have 1 Hispanic, 6 African American, and 1 white. So the average HGBA1C, so that is, that is sugar bound to hemoglobin in red blood cells. And so the target for that is to be below 7%, Our average for our kids
Oh, my God.
is 11%. So the normal rate is between 5.7 and 7%. And with those 8 students, we're at 11%. That's high. That's really high for our kiddos. So 88% of our 8 students have the device that they have to wear that distributes the insulin. 50% have attended the clinic in the last 4 months, and 50% were hospitalized. So the disparity. So as you can see, the orange indicates our white student, or the white student population, Hispanics, yellow, blue are all patients, and this is the African American population. So you see the disparities. This right here, it's the survival rate. So in 1965 to 80, you could see the survival rate. I'm sorry, right here is the survival rate. And as the years go on, within the 15-year difference, the expectancy, the life expectancy increased. So the more we know, the more that we can help, the more that we do, the more that we get involved, the life expectancy increases. And also, type 1 diabetes is the 3rd most common chronic disease of childhood. Let's see. So right here, so the higher your blood sugar, the more complications you will have. And this is with any student or with any adult, type 1, type 2, you will have kidney disease, nerve damage, blindness, kidney failure, eye disease. So, and that's just to name a few. So the implication, improved blood glucose control also applies to a person with type 2 diabetes. So it doesn't matter, type 1, type 2, there are risks, there are complications if they're not managed, and they have to be managed around the clock. Okay.
Hey, Ms. Brink, go back to the slide where you at the bottom. Yeah.
And there was something else on a previous slide where you mentioned, well, you didn't go over it, it's the slide before that, that no way to prevent.
Yeah.
So it's just key for everyone to understand, those of you watching, there is no prevention for type 1 diabetes, but when you have it, there's management. And so this is really important to focus on the management. So when you look at the stats, you go, well, what's happening in this population? Why do they have it? Well, there's no way to manage to prevent it. It's there, but you can prevent some of the complications, which are so important. Because
So it gets too far gone.
absolutely. And that's where you see that disparity between ethnic groups.
Right, absolutely. So, you know, a lot of people are afraid to go to doctors. They feel it. They know that there is something. Just, you know, this is as an adult. Imagine a child. They can't
Families don't
verbalize
recognize
that.
it.
They don't know.
No.
They don't know until it's probably too late.
And in some cases, parents think it's just school avoidance, but it's really that I'm not feeling well, and I don't know what it is.
Right.
So I think our site-based health clinic, in conjunction with our partners and also the University of Cincinnati and Children's Hospital, we've got a chance.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we are working also on a grant to assist with some of the insulin, the devices. So, you know, we are trying to meet here in the next month or two. I have regular meetings with our district nurses every week, and our district nurses are included with the conversations because they are the people that treat our kids every day. So we have a lot of kiddos who don't like going to the nurse. It's embarrassing. They don't want to be singled out. They don't want to take that responsibility. But again, with the help from Children's Hospital, because they are patients of theirs anyway, it just really helps with the effort to ensure that they're being serviced correctly.
We're going to do, I'm going to actually have you do this at one of our parent meetings so that they can understand just some of the precautionary things that Ms. Bryant mentioned. There's no way to prevent it, but it's a way to manage it.
Right, right. And so, bringing up management, these are some of the things to manage the type 1 diabetes. So, intensive diabetes management includes the coordination of meals and diets. So we're talking about what they're eating at school during the school day. The insulin replacement, monitoring of blood glucose levels. They're no less than 30 tasks per day. Best if coordinated with diabetes technology. So the device helps to really keep count and help to assist with that effort. But as you can see in between that, we're looking at checking your blood every so often. I believe it's 6 times a day at least. And that's just during the school day.
But Ms. Bray, the part that I think this whole process that when you brought it to my attention, and this is something we need to be working on to make sure our kids are healthy and alert. You mentioned the kids that were diagnosed. The concern that I have is the ones that are not.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. So type 1, we know it's out of their control, but type 2, we have a lot of control with type 2, and that's with physical activity, diet, exercise.
And any member of the board can, not 3 at a time, of course, but any member of the board can come to your meetings. But I encourage you to send that email to Ms. Bryant, because that's her arena, and she may be able to lend some expertise. So thank you.
Yes, very good.
I think this is phenomenal. This
Yeah.
is near and dear to me, and knowing that parents will have resources, so if they see something with their child to say, you know what, he's thirsty, he's urinating, whatever, he, she, them, they, to make sure that we recognize the symptoms and that the school has the resources necessary. We
Right.
know that school nurses are limited in a lot of areas, so we're thankful for our nurses that we have in the district and
Yeah.
for everyone that's caring for these children, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so this is just looking at the brain of the child. So we know that a brain is really not fully developed until they're in their 20s. And so just imagine a child with type 1 diabetes at 5 years old. They can't articulate what's going on.
Right.
And you see preteen and teenager. So that's why it's so important that we have our nurses in place that can assist and monitor this effort. Is that it? And so the role of the school is vital in a child's life, as you can see. And the school ensures the child's overall development. Education is key. Education is in there, but safety is number 1. So if they are not healthy, if they're not safe, they cannot be educated.
Very good.
Are there any other questions?
So how will it work with the collaboration with Cincinnati Children's, with our nurses, or how will they assist them?
Through education. So we are working with actual doctors that care for the students that are patients at the hospital. So when we met over the summer, earlier this school year, it was more about educating. Our nurses understand and know what it is, but to understand our students, the history of the student, is very, very important. The resistance, perhaps, of students and parents. And so they help us to coordinate on how to meet with the student, the challenges that they've had. So just a number of things. So what we're doing now, I told them that I was presenting tonight, and now we're going to go back and start coordinating our meetings, what we're going to talk about, how we're going to deliver the information, and that is inclusive to administrators, school personnel, because teachers and people need to know, what to look for if a student has type 1 diabetes.
I mean, as a nurse, I think this is phenomenal because often you have someone that's in the healthcare system and we talk about how, well, they didn't do what I asked them to do. But it doesn't just stop there. It's what they have in their home,
Absolutely.
what's in their community, what access do they have to things. So this is just bigger than, well, they didn't make an appointment. Why didn't they make the appointment? So to be able to take that child's environment and then bring it to the school where they're spending 7.5 hours of daylight time, right? To say, okay, let's talk to the teachers. I used to love calling, hey, I've got this student, tell me about this patient, what's going on. So it's phenomenal that we're able to do that and that we're able to have that collaboration with CCMHMC. So
Yes.
thank you, and please invite me to any of those meetings.
Yes.
Trust me, I'm excited.
I sure will. We're excited. We're very
Yes.
excited.
And you mentioned prevention. I don't know if we do this, but we do have a We Thrive in the community. So maybe just making sure that we can have any of the We Thrive activities for young adults and students and that they're participating. There's a wonderful way to have activities and healthy fruits and vegetables, whatever. So that's
Yes.
another partnership.
Yes, and along with nutrition is the mission school bus. So they provide a lot of nutritional foods over the summer. And yes, We Thrive is another avenue that we can partner with to ensure that, that happens too. And that goes along with our staff, our adults here as well. We have a number of staff that may be diagnosed with that as well. It needs the same opportunities. So if they're not healthy, how can they teach our students? So we need to look at our staff as well.
Very good.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you. You'll
Thank
keep
you.
reporting back to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're excited to learn.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're
That's
welcome.
very good.
Do you have any
Ready to
any
move
more on your school reports?
Yes, I do have, no, actually, that's the last one.
Okay. And then we'll go to the first read,
5.02?
the
Yeah.
the
So, Board, these are the first
policies.
reads, and these are not policies that you're voting on tonight, but you are going to review them, and then if you have questions, of course, you can send me emails, make phone calls, and ask me anything you like about what we're going to discuss for April. So the first one is legal citation change 7440.03, property, small unmanned aircraft, 7440, property, facility security, 8210, operations, school calendar. And you'll notice that in the 8210, it says that you can make that school biannual, and so those are the things that we try to do. We give you a 2-year in advance so we can kind of sift through anything that we may need to. 8320, operations personnel files, 8330, student records, and finally 8600, transportation.
Okay.
Those will be for next month.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Moving on to facilities?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Denny?
Thanks, Mr. Smith. Good evening, Board. Some great stuff tonight. It's a hard act to follow, honestly, but I'll do my best. And we're continuing to grow our facilities as well, of course, following our facility master plan. Just a quick update on the future early childhood center. We just crested the 50% mark, so by billing. So we are now approximately halfway done with phase 1. And hydronic piping, which is for the heating system, that's nearing completion. We're expecting a very large shipment of door frames, doors, the storefront window systems, similar to what you'd see right through that door out there. Those are all en route. They've shipped, and so we're expecting those to arrive soon. And then we'll begin with the tear out of the old storefront systems and doors and door frames and the installation of the new exterior system. So that's going to be a nice thing to see happening. Electric service upgrade is in process, and this is actually with Duke Energy. They would be the contractor doing the work. With all the new HVAC, there's a required electrical load on the building that will have to be service increase. So that'll be planned for later in the summer. It'll be on Duke's schedule, so that's just a piece of the puzzle that's now becoming more in focus. And finally, moving away from the early childhood, but still in the realm of facilities and our master plan, thank you, Board, for approving the sale of Kemper Heights. That's going to close soon, so the district's looking forward to seeing that transpire. And that'll be a good value for the district and savings of a decent amount of money every year. Even a building that sits idle, that's not occupied or used, costs the district between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. So that'll be a nice value add for the district and the residents and the taxpayers. And then also, we do now have a sale pending on the elementary school in Forest View, the former elementary school in Forest View. So that's in process, and hope to be able to share more detail with you soon, but that's moving forward as well. So that's the update for this month.
A little about the tower.
The cell phone tower.
Yes, sir.
We're still in process with them. We're ready to move forward when we conclude
I just want
that.
the board to know that that situation hasn't been thrown to the side. It's still actively moving. We're just waiting to hear from the contractors about what the space looks like. And then, of course, you would bring that back to the board and say, here's the recommendation. This is what we need to do. Here's
Yes,
the
sir.
price. Here's the sale. Here's the delivery. And when you add to this poll, it is a fee. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank
Thanks very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. D.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to superintendent's recommendations. 10.01, a job description regarding homeless campus coordinators.
Yes, Madam President, we actually discussed this at length in the work session, and so the recommendation is to approve the job description of the homeless campus coordinator.
I make a recommendation to approve the job description, homeless campus coordinator, as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion, conversation from our team?
Gotta call for the vote.
I just wanted to bring up what it meant, just because our viewers might not know, but I think it's a great opportunity. It's just what the coordinator job descriptions do. It just act as a liaison. You could probably better explain it if you don't mind. Okay. They're a liaison. They have essential duties and responsibilities that include they'll seek, interview, they'll assist students and families who are homeless by linking these individuals to appropriate housing and mental health services. They work in a variety of settings, sometimes during non-traditional hours. So it's a really comprehensive way to keep our students engaged in school, to help them overcome problems that keep them from attending school. And I think it's a great opportunity. So if there's any other conversation from our team, board?
Madam President, the main bullet is bullet number 10. That is the main bullet.
You should bring that one up.
Maintains confidentiality.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
absolutely huge.
Yes.
Homeless students don't want the world to know.
Sure.
How do you do that with fidelity, where they come to school and they fit in and they blend in? However, project-based learning helps you blend into everything that we do, so it actually is a good fit. Ms. Wilson, you want to add something?
I was just gonna mention that, the reason we're able to offer this is because we do have, several ARP funds, that pay for this.
Okay.
So, general fund or local
Good point.
Thank you.
Excellent point. Without any other conversation or discussion, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to 10.02, personnel schedules.
Thank you again. Before you, you have Schedule A, resignations, Schedule B, Schedule C, Schedule G, and E. And I would ask for your approval of each schedule.
Board, a motion would be in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel schedules as presented.
I second the motion.
Motioned and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Go ahead.
Did
Sure.
Ms. Gordon is still here. So I keep seeing information here about aides that are resigning. Is stretch pay still a factor? Is that still an issue?
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay. Are they mentioning that to you as well? Okay.
Okay. Moving on to 10.03, the second read.
Yeah, these are all second reads that the board is scheduled to vote on tonight. This is a new policy on finances, 6700. Revised policies 3120.04, professional staff employment of substitutes. Revised policy 3120.08, professional staff employment of personnel for co-curricular, extracurricular activities. Revised policy 5111, students' eligibility of residents, non-resident students. Policy 5335, students care of students with chronic health conditions, and we just talked about one. And 5336, students care of students with diabetes. And finally, policy 7217, property weapons.
Okay. Board, there'd be a motion as in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reads of the new and revised policies as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to Board of Education reports, the legislative report. Dr. J?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I did forward the bulk of the notes for the legislative reports onto my colleagues, but there were 7 items that I thought bared for me to mention during this meeting. The first one was that the Ohio Department of Education creates a credential for state early learning teachers, and it kind of sparked my attention when they were talking about grow your own, because but it's not quite the same thing. But the Ohio Department of Education has created a customized early learning credential to transform teaching practices and child literacy outcomes throughout Ohio. And it's basically was stated by this Dr. Ryan Lee James that the Ohio Department of Education is making a significant step toward providing the early learning educators with free evidence-based courses and resources that will help the teachers build a language-centered, culturally and responsively foundation for every child. And he also went on to say that early learning teachers are among the first to plant the seed of literacy with our young children, and that this credential builds the knowledge, skills, and agency that each teacher needs to build that relationship. The second item that I wanted to bring shed light on was a new proposal that would reorganize the Ohio Department of Education. And this affects school boards, boards of educations all over the state of Ohio. And some lawmakers in the Ohio State, the Ohio Senate and Ohio House want to reorganize the Ohio Department of Education, and this reorganization will be known as Senate Bill 1. And here are a few key points that this proposal is going to take up. That the Ohio Department of Education shifts from under the supervision of the State Board of Education and will become the state agency under the government's or the governor's supervision. Educators should educate and politicians should politic. I don't know. I'm an educator, and that's my deep feeling on that. Instead of the state superintendent of public instruction overseeing the Department of Education, it would be led by a director appointed by the governor, subject to the advice and consent of the Ohio Senate. So lawmakers making rules for education. I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. ODE will get a new name, and the new name would be Department of Education and Workforce, or DEW, and would focus primarily on secondary education while preparing kids for the workforce. The department would enforce Ohio Administrative Code rules and adopt new rules according to the law for accountability. The last point under this reorganization would be that this is the sticking point for me too. The state board's responsibility would be limited to basically just implementing and reinforcing teachers' license and rules and disciplinary measures. So that's not what the state school board should be about. It should also be about other things. But the next item was the third thing that I thought I should like to shed light on is Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 12. Senate Bill 1 continues to be a hot spot for conversation in the State House. For the Ways and Means Committee, the chair of the Senate Education Committee said that work on the upper chamber would be to overhaul the Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 12, both of which would reduce the responsibilities of the board and the superintendent. Kind of goes along with what I just talked about, and would likely conclude by the General Assembly summer session. Another point under this same heading is that it has been stated that these bills ultimately are about privatizing and seizing local control of schools in Ohio, and that the State Board of Education is being used as a scapegoat to justify these bills. Under both the House Bill 12 and Senate Bill 1, the board would cede most of its current duties to the agent staff that would be appointed by the government.
So in other words, we show up, they mandate stuff, but don't have the knowledge?
And basically, they'll give us the rules that we have to follow and push out.
And the mandates are probably unfunded.
Yes, that's the other part.
Oh, we tried that before,
Yes, we
remember?
did.
Yes.
Yes.
I tell you what, when I was reading through all of the things, I'm like, this is kind of long, but I can't afford to leave this out. As an educator myself, I can't afford to leave this out. But anyway, so here's another juicy one that I couldn't afford to leave out. Number 4, that Governor DeWine wants all schools to use a science-based reading approach. Governor DeWine has issued an executive order regarding the literacy, charging the Governor's Children Initiative with finding ways to boost the state's literacy efforts. And then it's talking about House Bill 33, which is the biennial budget bill. And maybe Mr. Seymour could shed more light on that for us. But anyway, it includes a comprehensive plan to require school districts to utilize the science of reading as they teach early learners how to read. In support of the literacy provisions in the budget bill, Ohio Excels, a business-based organization that weighs in on education policies, hosted a forum highlighting the science of reading. I think whenever you get business involved in something, okay, it's no longer really about the kids. I mean, that's my, take on that. But anyway, I will go on to read what the legislative report is, and under this same item, it is not clear how much change would happen under the proposal or how soon it would happen. Schools already use phonics. Governor DeWine wants the school districts in Ohio to adopt a reading curriculum based in science and is making that idea one of his top priorities. The new requirement would mean all public and charter schools could only use this reading curriculum approved by the Ohio Department of Education, and it prohibits what is commonly referred to as the whole word approach, where it teaches the memorization of words, sight reading, like sight words, like all of us learned how to read, right? Okay, anyway, Governor DeWine said in his most recent State of the State speech, so in our budget, we're making sure that all Ohio children have access to curriculum that is aligned with evidence-based approaches of the science of reading. Governor DeWine went on to say that the budget would direct the Ohio Department of Education to work on a plan informed by the research and evidence to ensure all Ohio students have access to curriculum, giving them the best chance of success. Those were his words, not mine. Stay tuned on this one, because it should be noted that Ohio doesn't currently regulate what programs school districts use, to teach reading.
One of the universities that has the best outcome for teaching kids to read is Ohio State University, and they are not in agreement.
Right.
So I'm a little confused, though. So you're saying that the Ohio Board of Education would be overseeing this, but in the next legislation, they won't have any oversight. They'll just be working on workforce development. So it sounded like we're a little conflicted as to what really
They
is going
tap
on.
in a little bit, Ms. Bryant, and then they tap out.
Yeah, I think what it is they're gonna
It's a
be.
nice shuffle.
Right. it's
Because
a
they can't
great
take it all away. They don't have that resource. They don't
That's
have
exactly
those ingredients to really bake the cake.
Gotcha.
And I also kind of think, as I was reading it, and Superintendent Smith can help me out here, I'm not sure that there's gonna be enough funds to really fund this whole thing. So I think it's gonna fall back onto the school district some sort of way in the long run. They're gonna say, you have to do it this way. We're only giving you this much money, but you need to figure out how to make this much money do all of this. And I'm not sure that other school districts, not just us, will be able to fund it. You know, they always come up with these ideas, and that's what the problem is when you have politicians mandating education or things or how to do education. So, yeah, I think, Mrs. Bryant, you got it right. They keep saying, oh, I have a Department of Education, but they're really taking the authority away from them. They're basically kind of going to be a figurehead, you know, that's the way I read it.
But you gotta have someone to blame it on, Doc.
Absolutely. That their end takes away their, it gives them the accountability without really responsible. They can't really make, you know, real decisions, but you're going to be accountable for the decisions that are made, kind of thing.
But it's tied to the budget, the biennial budget?
Well, he
on
said
this?
he was going to put money into it. That was, they said it was, in his speech, that was going to be one of his
But if you're not
top
putting money in
priorities.
the biennial budget, if you're not gonna keep it and make it sustainable, and you're gonna do it as a one-time hit, then it does not have any room to grow.
Does not have any room
It has
to
to
grow.
have some sustainability.
And it'll be a
If they
one-time
say
thing.
we're gonna fund this forever,
That's
different
different.
story.
But that's not what it's saying. The next item, I have three more that I want to go over, is the budget debates that involve the whole school funding. And the state supports for families that educate their children at home could become a sticking point in discussion between the chambers on the state's 2-year spending outline. Again, it goes back to the Ed Choice Scholarship and how that money is funded and distributed. And right now, we're looking at that as Senate Bill 11, and all K through 8 students will be eligible for the award up to $5,500 per year. And then for the high schoolers, it would be $7,500 per year. But homeschoolers, however, will not be in line for the vouchers under the proposal, but these families would be qualified for an expanded tax credit of up to $2,000 annually for education expenses.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where they get kind of stuck, or, you know, somewhere in the middle there. The next item is number 6, more funding sought to bolster CPR training requirements. And representatives, this is another thing that they're gonna mandate, say they're gonna fund, but it's not sustainable. And basically was the representatives of the American Heart Association told lawmakers that state dollars needed to be needed to fulfill the promise of prior legislation mandating CPR instruction for public high school students in Ohio. The American Heart Association is requesting $597,250 per year to be added to the state's operating budget. This is all goes back to, again, House Bill 33, program and project support line item to ensure the schools have the resources needed to implement the law. Again, stay tuned, because this is a cost that could be passed on to the school district. You know, it starts, we're paying for it, but now it's a mandate and you gotta figure out how to pay for it, okay? The last one that I wanted to highlight was, it affects us as boards or public committees. Updates on the Sunshine Law Manual. The Attorney General, Dave Yost, has released the 2023 edition of the Sunshine Law Manual, which provides information on Ohio Public Records and Open Meetings Act. And I'm not sure, Mr. Seymour, if there's a way for you to get us all a printed copy of that. I don't know.
Sure,
Yeah.
it's fairly lengthy.
Oh, should we get it in?
Very lengthy.
Should we get it in? I remember, now, just going back, I remember that when I first joined the board, Mr. Pennicuff got me a little handbook that, and it was, you know, so. And I don't know if that was the abbreviated version or whatever, but that's what I thought about when I seen it. He got
You
me a
need
little
about
mad.
20 of those.
Yeah, well, they've doubled it. That's rules. Okay, so I just, that's it for my legislative report. I hate that it got long, but there was so much really good information. And Mr. Smith, if you have anything to add to that.
That is absolutely it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
You're welcome, thank you.
Sure. Move on to the Great Oaks Technical Career Center.
I sent out most of the documents, I believe, that I typically send out, plus a couple of additional ones. Spotlight on students, we had one student, Shayla Potts, in the cosmetology program at Scarlett's, who passed her state boards and became a licensed cosmetologist.
Good. Before she got
Also, just so you have some concept of the programs that are offered at Great Oaks, I sent a 2023-2024 school year course guide, so you can see everything that's out there. And I sent one other document that, with this lottery program that they have to go through to assign students to programs when they're oversubscribed at this point. There is a returning seniors report in this email that I sent you, and what you'll notice is that all the returning seniors, that number is less than the number that are accepted, because they do make sure that if you were a junior in that program and you're coming back as a senior,
You get that spot.
you get back into that program. But they have multiple programs that are now oversubscribed, and the students are gonna be in a lottery to see what they get. What they've asked the students to do, the one thing I do know they've asked them to do is a first choice of program as well as a second choice of program. So hopefully, even if the lottery for the first choice doesn't come through for them,
There's
they can get the
backup.
second choice. And then there's always an opportunity, depending on where they're at in the lottery, if someone drops out early in the school year, that someone who's on the list that wanted that program could get moved back into it. So I don't know, I know
Mr.
Harry
Yeah.
did mention that he was getting,
Are there programs that, do they all have the same numeric value, meaning there's the same amount of kids, or is it based on the program?
No, they're all
Okay.
different. It's based on the program. So you
Okay.
maybe have a carpentry or an HVAC lab or something that's gonna
Take more
accommodate
time.
less
Okay.
than other programs maybe, so. And that will conclude my report for the Great Oaks.
Thank you, Mr. Birdie. We'll move to our 13, well, actually to 12. We have board recommendation. So I would ask, talking about a retreat.
I'd like to make a motion to set a special meeting for April 15th, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the Winton Woods North Campus, room 1656, 1231 West Kemper Road, Cincinnati, Ohio. The purpose of this meeting is for a board retreat. A consultant from Board Management Services of the Ohio School Boards Association will be presenting the program for the retreat. And I'll make the correction, it's 1231 West Kemper Road, Forest Park, Ohio.
Sure. At the North Campus, right? Yes.
North Campus.
Very good.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. I don't know if we have any conversations, but Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Sure. Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Birdie?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving to 13.01, comments from our members, board members, superintendent, and treasurer. Superintendent, do you have any comments?
Ms. Jackson? So we started out with the Night of Freedom at the Freedom Center, and it fit the billing, it fit the location, it fit the environment, and we're rebranding ourselves. So our new name will be called our Showcase of Elegance. Excellence. It was elegant too.
Elegance, yeah.
But when you look at the way the kids performed, it really was a showcase of excellence. So our new name we will transition out of the Night of Freedom to our showcase, which is encapsulating everyone, our showcase of excellence. All right?
Very good.
So,
thank you.
Ms. Jackson and I worked on that for back and forth on the phone like 15 times, and we finally got it right. It was it was it was we, it was our, it was most. And so, but when you look at how the kids performed, it really was a showcase. And I am going to run into that young man, Brandon, that you introduced me to the piano virtuoso. And this is a kid who has talent that was untapped because he's not involved in anything, but he should be involved in everything. Okay?
Very good, thank you. Mr. Seymour?
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, I'll just have a few highlights that I'd like to say. First, I'd like to thank all of the people who were acknowledged today for the honors and recognitions, gifts and introductions, for coming out and for their contribution to our district, and our own Dr. Adrian Martin for her special recognition. We are so appreciative that you belong to us, and our middle school basketball coach and her team. It's already been mentioned tonight, however, I'd like to mention it again, that if your child is thinking about going to college, it is time to complete that FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. It's not just if you don't have money, it's just to see what you could qualify for. Even if you have to get a loan, you still have to complete the FAFSA. So, FAFSA, FAFSA, okay, that's the acronym. This application should be completed so that financial assistance can be determined, and you can talk to the school counselors if you're not sure of what it is, how to get to it. We also have the virtual credit check, or the credit check thing that's gonna be going on. You can ask about it during that time. Of course, there's ACT testing that's gonna be going on. We have a lot going on in the next few weeks with the spring musical and midterms, and we have Good Friday, and there's so much with the seniors that are getting ready to graduate, and the prom, and it's just this is the time of year that is just like, it's the most wonderful time. It's just so much that's going on. So if you're an educator and you tend to get excited, I love graduations because it's sort of like that milestone, in many people's lives. So it's that milestone that says, hey, I've made it to this point. Now there's a fork in the road. Where do I go now? So I always have been excited about graduation. So, and other milestones that they hit as they go through high school and that. So we also want to just appreciate all of our teachers and counselors and principals and everybody, and let them know that we really do appreciate. This meeting tonight has been so very informative. And just letting people know, we got some really good things happening here, and I don't think that we have to begin to tell our story. We've said that over and over, but we really do have to begin to tell our own story. So with that said, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Dr. Johnson. Mr. Brandon Smith?
Oh, I believe Dr. Johnson said it all.
Oh, come on, Mr. Smith.
Thanks to everyone who continues to work diligently for the district. It's an exciting time, like she said, so I'm looking forward to that. Piggybacking on something Mr. Smith said earlier, the night of freedom, I had a conversation with a former employee of ours, and I asked her why she wasn't with us, and she did mention the stretch pay thing. So it's a little disheartening because she was a product of Winton Woods, and she loved working here, but the stretch pay thing was an issue. So I'm glad Mr. Smith did bring that back up, and I just hope there's some way we can continue to keep our employees here, whatever that looks like. I don't understand the things around stretch pay, but that's not my wheelhouse. I just understand that people have to get paid, and they have to make a living, and so they have to make tough decisions sometimes. So I just continue to appreciate each and every one who comes and works for the district, works with the district, and works through the district. And go Warriors. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant?
I think after following both Dr. Johnson and Mr. Smith, there isn't much to be said other than, again, congratulations to all those who are honored. And thank you for showing up every day. Thank you for looking after not only the academic well-being of our students, but the health because it is a total person. So it's looking at just if they can't see, they can't read, if they can't keep their blood sugars controlled, you know, they can't focus. So just making sure that we do everything possible. And this is a district of excellence. And I'm really excited to be here and thankful for each and every one of you. And that's it. And again, go Warriors. Woo-hoo.
Thank you. Mr. Birdie?
All right, Dr. Martin, congratulations again.
Yeah.
I hate repeating stuff. But I thought that was worth
What
saying.
she said.
The
What
Grow
she
Our
said.
Own program, Ms. Wilson,
Awesome.
Dr. Reynolds, Shonda Gordon, I mean, that's great what you all are doing. I think that's phenomenal for the staff, the opportunity that provides to them. And then Ms. Bray, the diabetes care delivery for those students, that's an important piece of what we need to make sure our students are safe and healthy and as well as educated. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Birdie. My colleagues summarized it very well. It was a great information. I do want to touch, I think Ms. Wilson said something that really resonates with me when she does say when you take a challenge and it creates an opportunity. And I really think that's really important and signifies what we do day in and day out. We make whatever obstacles are in our way, we go over, around, through, under, to make things work. And that's really what the board, and I'm very excited to work with my team here, that we come up with solutions. We don't always get to pick the best way, but we figure out the best way that we can manage for our community. One thing that is important to me is keeping local control about education locally, because what fits or works somewhere else doesn't necessarily work everywhere. And really, as taxpayers in our community or any community that you live in, your tax dollars work for you in where you live. And it's not up to Columbus or Washington to take your local tax dollars that you pay and disseminate them somewhere else. So really, it's really incumbent upon our community to watch very closely what they're doing with your money. Keep your money here locally where it gives the most benefit to you day in and day out for your home and your property. And we have these meetings so you can come here and talk to us. We're engaged with our parents, our students, our staff. It's a collaborative environment and a culture that we want to create. We need our community to be engaged and involved, which we appreciate very much. So with that, there's no need for an executive session, and we thank you, Waycross Media, for televising our message and delivering that message to our community. And with that, we'll call the meeting adjourned tonight. Thank you.